Hey everybody, it's Ed back with another tutorial on Manga Studio. This time I'm going to talk to you about fonts and about word balloons. So let's just do word balloons first. I have this comic here that I'm working on and it's all pretty much ready to go, and I'm going to put in my word balloons. Now this is how I work. Maybe you put yours in first. That's probably smarter than what I do, because then you can actually plan around your word bubbles if you want to, but I just always wait till the end to put in the word bubbles. It seems more gratifying to me in that way. So to put in a word bubble, you come over here and there's a little text feature. I think default it probably shows an A, like you're used to in most programs. And you can click on that, and then you have all these options here. You have text, ellipse balloon, curve balloon, balloon pen, balloon tail, thought balloon tail, which is pretty cool. There's a couple different options here. It's different than the previous iteration of Manga Studio, and it's been so long since I used that version that I kind of forgot how that worked. I know it didn't work this way though, so I don't know if that's helpful or not. But basically, what you're going to do is you're just going to go in and you're going to write your text. So I'm just going to put in some text for this character. Actually, he's not speaking, he's speaking in this one, so I'm going to add in the text. I actually haven't thought about what I'm going to type here, but I think he's going to say something like, number 1. It's a little bit small. We'll up the size of that a little bit. So when you put the text in here, then you get this editing toolbar over here. I'm using a custom font, which I'll talk about in a second. And then you can do things like underline, italicize, bold, strike through, or all of the above. You can justify your text. You can have the direction go up or down. If you're doing like manga and you want your text to go up and down, you can do that. Anti-aliasing is just like it is on anything else. If you want sort of a soft edge around the letters, you can do that. And so I'm just going to bump this up to, like, I think I usually use probably like let's just say a 22 here. Okay, so that's done. But there's no word balloon, which is making Picard sad. So what you need to do here is you need to come up here and choose your poison as far as creating a word balloon. I'll show you how to use each of these. The ellipse balloon, which is right now actually not set as an ellipse, is the one that I use most often. It's a very typical type of balloon. You can make it rectangular like this. If you want to make this, let's say that this was actually a piece of internal monologue or dialogue or something like that, you could use that, and you can just draw it around, and you can hit OK, and it'll create it automatically. And you'll notice here that I have black as this color and white as this color, so it will automatically create the black outline and the white fill color. You can mess with that over here. You can also mess with how it's added, if it's a new layer or added to a selected layer. I keep it as create new layer. You could add a tone to it. You can change the figure when you're drawing it, which I'm going to do in a second. You can change the brush size, which changes functionally the outline of it. Like right now I think this is probably a little thin, but that's what I'm using. And then you can change the brush shape if you want to get into some of these crazy, maybe you want to have a really heightened word balloon look or something. So I'm going to undo what I just did. I'm going to actually, let's see, I'm going to go with an ellipse here and go boom, blam. There we go. So that's what an ellipse looks like. A couple other options here. You can do a curve balloon. I never really use this, but there's a lot of different things you can do here. You can do like a spline where you can just kind of come in here and bend it all over the place and do kind of weird looking stuff. Double click on the last part and create it. So if you want non-symmetrical balloons, you can do that. There's lots of different ways. Again, it has all basically the same options, change the brush shape and all of that. You can actually just freehand it with the balloon pen, where you can actually, I didn't mess with the settings for this ahead of time, so we'll see what happens. You can come in here. I'm just going to use the mouse, draw around. Ooh, blue, 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 blue. Oh, look at that. It's horrible. But if you have a steadier hand or mouse than I do, then you can do a better job of that. But let's just go back to our original ellipse balloon. Draw it here. Pretty cool. Pretty good. You can nail it on there. Then if you want to, you can mess with stuff. Like you can go back to your text and you can move the text around within the balloon. If you hold Control when you have the text selected, it'll actually allow you to manipulate the balloon size. So you hold Control. Again, it's probably Command on Mac. I don't use a Mac, so you can do that. That looks okay. You can take the move. It's now its own layer, so you can just kind of move it around wherever you want it to go, in front of his face or not. And then if you want to create a balloon tail, you can do that a couple of different ways. So if we go back to our balloons thing here, there's balloon tail. There's a couple different ways you can do it. And you can do a linear one, just kind of boring. And then this doesn't give you as much option, but it gives you sort of the width of the tail. So that's kind of the width in pixels between the side and that side at the top. So if you want to do a long pencil-y one, you can do it that way. You can up this. You can actually change this number manually to whatever you want it to be. Let's make it like 120, just to give you an exaggerated example. Actually, maybe 100 is the limit because it just auto-corrected back to 100. So you can kind of mess with that to get it the way you want it. I don't use linear because I don't do actual manga, which I think would probably be used more often in manga, but I'm not an expert on that, so maybe it doesn't. Correct me if I'm wrong. This one I think is cool and probably fits more of like a cartoony style, where you can kind of polyline it out here. But there's still, you know, like not a ton of options on that one. You have to double click at the end to tell it when you're done. I don't really use the polyline either. I like the spline. So with the spline, you can actually just kind of like casually arc it however you want it to go. Oops. And you got to be careful with that. Have a nice steady hand and double click at the end. Okay, that's not too bad. There's a little thing at the end that I don't like there, but that's all right. And then you can actually, one last thing that I almost forgot to mention is if you want to, you can actually draw one with a balloon pen. The screen recording software always slows down on my computer, but I'll try to draw this. So you can actually come in here and draw out, down, arc it back up as wide as you want it to go, let it go, and it does that. So kind of cool. You'll notice that this font that I'm using is not a standard font, and that's by design. Manga Studio comes with some okay fonts. I mean, they're basically on Windows, they're the same fonts you already have. So I've actually found this website, Blambot, which has pretty cool set of fonts, you know, does comic fonts and lettering. And you can come in here and look at dialogue fonts, for example, and you'll see a number of different fonts you can download. So they each have a little thing next to them to tell you if they cost you money or not. The free fonts, like Acme Secret Agent BB, are free for you to use for non-commercial purposes. So if you want to make an independent comic and you're not really interested in selling prints or anything like that with the font being used, you can use those for free. You can pay for fonts which will come with professional and commercial licenses, so you can use those, which might be the best idea if you're gonna, you know, do that. What you might want to try is if you save all of your comic files from each of your comics, and you could start with a free font, and then if it comes down the road and you want to actually sell some prints or something, you can always go back to those and you can edit the font and use a font that's legal for you to use in that commercial manner. So that's one way to do it. I've also heard, and I've never done this myself, but I've also heard that some people actually will get their own handwriting made into a font, and there are websites online that will do that. But I, alas, do not feel like doing that. My handwriting is terrible, so right now I'm just using this basic one. So that's it for this tutorial. This comic will actually be on my website, cantorwont.com. That's Kant spelled with a K, Kantorwont.com. There'll be a link to that and my Twitter in the video description. And please leave some comments. Tell me if there's anything about Manga Studio that frustrates you that maybe I could try to look into to fix for you. I'm a novice myself, but I'm always looking to help other people as I try to learn the software myself as well. So the font stuff, I neglected to mention this, but the on Windows you can actually download those font files, and you can just search in the folder here. You can type in font, fonts, and it'll come up with the fonts folder. You literally just have to copy the TrueType file that they give you when you download into that fonts file, close Manga Studio, open it back up, and you'll have the options there. So you can see I've actually used this web letter one. I might even have that Acme one in this list somewhere, although I don't know if I ever downloaded that one. So yeah, anyway, I hope this helps, and I hope you make some great comics from it.